Hey, welcome back viewers. It's actually been a few more days than I wanted it to be. Here in Arizona we had a bad storm yesterday and the day before, and it took the roof off my barn over there and actually the roof off this garage too. So I've had to deal with the insurance company, and I lost quite a lot of shingles on the roof, and as you can see, the roof's been leaking. I had to move all my books and put them on the other side. Yeah, it was over 60-mile-an-hour winds, so I couldn't do anything out here. It was just too scary. But anyway, today we are going to... Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. We're going to pull that power steering pump off and see if we can get the fuel pump installed. And normally, I've done these before. Depending on how dry these lines are, I have to disconnect this one up here, and I think that's it. It's been a while since I've done one. But you can normally pick up that pump and swing it out of the way, so you don't have to really disconnect all the lines. And the fuel pump is right behind there, so it's real easy to get to. Otherwise, it's an absolute bee because you've got to do it from underneath the car. And I've had with one of these cars, I think it was Meadowlark Lemon's car, I put a fuel pump in it. It actually runs and drives. The way they designed these fuel pumps, the original one anyway, let me look at the, where is the new one. The way they designed these pumps is the bolts that hold them on also have a screwdriver slot in them, because... Let me get this pump out of the box. It's hard to do. Hold the camera. Oh, it's stuck in there. Okay. The way they designed it, when you put the bolts on and through here, this here, you can't get a socket set on them until they're halfway in. So the bolts actually have a screwdriver slot in them. So you're supposed to wind them in with a screwdriver first, and then you can get a socket in behind. Let's see what we got. Should be a, it'd be a 9/16. So you can't see what I mean. You can't get the, because of this here, you can't get the socket. Oh, sorry, looking at the pump, not the camera. You can't get that socket on that bolt until it's well in. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I don't know. This one will have the slots, but I know Meadowlark Lemon's car does have the slots in it. And then I'll put the fuel pump on. I'm going to throw a battery in there and try and figure out what was going on. It's, you know, like I say, it's been over 6 months since I tried to start this thing. It did turn, and then it's just clicked on me like the solenoid was bad or a bad cable connection. Because like I say, this is kind of, feels kind of crusty. And I'm hoping it's not a solenoid, because I've got to pull the starter motor out. But I guess that's another video for you, how to pull a starter motor out of a 385 series, 429, 460. So once you get the pump on, see if it'll crank, and then I'll pull that carburetor off and get it cleaned out. Show you how you can improve those carburetors a little bit. Those 4300s are not the greatest of carbs. I'll pull the air cleaner off. If the video gets cut off all of a sudden and it goes to another scene, it's because my insurance adjuster is called to talk about the roof and see what we're going to do. So there is a 4300. The thing with these is that's your fuel filter there, and there's a needle and seat here, but these carbs have a secondary needle and seat. Their thinking was under full throttle, because these things are thirsty, these cars, under full throttle, the single needle and seat can't keep up with the fuel flow, so they put in a secondary needle and seat, and the trick is to get rid of the secondary needle and seat. There is a bolt or a little kit you can buy, but I just solder them up, and I'll show you how to do them. And it helps with starting too, because the problem with the modern fuel, these carburetors boil out. So basically you're cranking a car to start it the next day after you've been for a drive or whatever, and the carburetor's empty. So you've got to crank and crank and crank to fill the carb up. But getting rid of that secondary needle and seat seems to help with starting problems too. It looks like it's still the original carb. It's still got the tag on there. I'll have to have a look at it. Like I say, I'm only the third owner of this car. I found a bunch of stuff in the glove box. The invoice for when he brought the car, he traded in a truck for it back in '73. You know, I'll post a picture of it being dragged out of the shed too. I was able to take a couple of snaps. It was a video, but I couldn't upload it for some reason, so I took some snapshots of it while it was getting dragged out. I actually noticed there was another Lincoln sitting next to it. I haven't asked him yet what he did with that. But anyway, let me get the tripod set up somehow. Eventually I'm going to have to buy a magnet so I can clamp it onto the hood. I may even take the hood off yet. They're not that hard to put on and off. I might take the hood off so it's easy to work on this car, because I really do not know what's wrong with this car. It was parked 40 years ago. I have a feeling it was because of the no start, the cranking, but it could be anything else. These engines normally aren't too bad. Not like a 400 or a modified 351, the later version, the later models. But then hopefully I can get it to run. Let's see if there's any fluids in there. Yep, there is. I can see fluid. Cool. It's holding fluid. Yeah, could have a blown head gasket. I don't know. This is a 71. It does have a smog pump. There's a smog pump right there. This one here, it is smogged. There's a charcoal canister way down the bottom there. You can see that little red thing. And unfortunately, sorry guys, I've got a sniffy nose again. It is freezing cold here and it's blowing like a bee out there. I was kind of surprised. I got up and didn't find any more trees laying in my yard, because it was bad. I know my little tin shed out there got torn to shreds. Half the walls are missing out of it. And I pulled that gold car out to put this one in, and I thought, okay, if weather gets bad, I'll throw this back outside and bring that gold car back in. And guess what? Every single day since this car has been in here, it's been raining on my gold car, so I had to put a tarp over the roof just to stop it. Mainly because I think the drain tubes are bad on it, so it doesn't fill up with water, and to stop the rain pouring down into these roofs. But let me get set up, and we'll start on this power steering pump. It's usually 9/16. Let me grab a flashlight. It's a plate with 3 9/16 nuts on it, and then that one adjuster. Let's see if I can tilt this back a little bit. That's it. So there's 3 bolts, 1, 2, and there's another one over here, and then this is an adjusting rod. You have to take that off, take that nut right off it, and then you can slide the power steering. You can actually just pick it up and move it over. You don't have to move it far, but just so you can expose that fuel pump down there. And there is room. Sometimes I have to jack the engine up just a little bit because it hits on that bracket. I can't quite get the steering pump out because the frame rail is right there as well. Well, get you set up and I'll start working on it instead of yapping all the time. People complained I yap too much. They don't want the music in the background, so I'm not going to put any music on. I really just did it to drown out my breathing because of my COVID. I've started really heavy breathing, or struggling to breathe, and listening to it really bugged me that I could hear my own breath. But people said, don't worry about it, it's cool. So let me set you up. I'm going to try and figure out, I might have to put a chair or something here and set up the tripod so it's aiming down there so you can see me working on it, how it works. Okay, back soon. Okay, let's see if we can get this pump off. Near the light, it's kind of dark in here. I could use power tools, air tools or drives, but I'll do this by hand because some guys don't have the luxury of having all the fancy tools. I'll do it with just regular weekender tools that most guys have in their garage. I will do a toolbox tour. There's nothing fancy in my toolbox, but just to see, you can see what I work with. I'm going to take this nut off, it's kind of long. There's a lot of thread on there for the adjuster. And they're a little bit tight. I should have put some squirt on them. And the main thing around here is not to smack your knuckles or anything. Like in these AC line fittings. Doesn't take much. Take the skin off. Ugh. Okay, that's that one. I'm just going to grab some spray. Spray those other bolts. Like I say, it's easy enough to get hurt on the job if you're not careful. Last year, when I was still working, I dislocated my pinky and actually tore the pinky off. It was dislocated that bad. It bent it right around me, ripped it off my finger, right through there. Took it right off. So I was off work for 5 months. And then after that, I came back to work, and a couple of months later they says, okay, we don't need you anymore. So I thought, oh, okay, something's going on. I knew it had to do with the workman's comp, but worked for the company for 3 years, not a problem. One day, on a Monday, I came to work. And HR was standing there waiting for me. I thought, okay, I've done something wrong. Like, I've never had a comeback or anything, because I don't really fix customers' cars. I worked for a big dealership, and my job was to inspect all trade-ins and do any work that was required on trade-ins. So I thought, well, it can't be a comeback or a customer complaint, so what's going on? Yeah, they just told me we're restructuring and you're no longer needed. Usual BS. So I thought, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this. So I need a socket set on that one. And this one is, I can get from the front. I hope you guys can see this. It's not hard, it's just a little bit, as long as these bolts aren't rusted up. I'm going to have to put the socket set on there. And to be honest, I was sick of working on late model junk. Just about every car that came in, you know, well, there's a reason they traded in, obviously, because it needed work. Oh, yeah, very tight. Forever chasing check engine lights. I'm not sad to see the end of that. I'm going to put a ballast resistor on there too. I don't know why that was put on there. Now I'm just using a short 9/16 socket. You guys are wondering what I'm using. They're all four of them are 9/16. Or if you limited on your tools and you work on modern stuff, it's a 14mm, it'll fit. But I have both. And I can hear one of my dogs sniffing. Daisy, come here. Come here, Gil. Hello. What are you doing? Hey? What you doing? Oh man, that's tight. Oh, get you a long reach. You don't have to be fancy. I know this is a snap-on, but Harbour Freight works if you're just doing a little bit of weekend work. You know, I don't see the point of wasting all that money on these fancy tools if you're just working on cars on the weekend. See, there's the pump dropping around. So that's good. I do have little short drives. I can usually get that front one off from the front. But like I say, I'll try and do it with just the tools every guy has in his garage. You know, I watched my last two videos. You know, I've got terrible anxiety. I'm not really a people person. Like, I could never do sales or retail or anything like that, because as you can tell, I'm from New Zealand, and down there we have a bit of a potty mouth, and I wouldn't last a day dealing with some of the customers. So that's why I ended up being a mechanic. But yeah, I have anxiety. I actually have dyslexia. Not ashamed of it now. I used to be ashamed of it, but you get to a certain point in life and you think, screw it, I don't care what people think. But yeah, I'm dyslexic. But you know, not being able to write or spell mechanically makes up for it. You know what you can do. Try and drop this belt. I may have to do this in a couple of sections and turn it off and turn the camera back on, because my camera doesn't have a lot of memory. My phone, it doesn't have a lot of memory. And I may have to upload it to my laptop. And make some space. Gotta get that bolt. Come on. This is what I say. You may have to. Sometimes you've got to jack the engine up just a little bit to give you some more clearance. So you've got to drop this. Yeah, let me turn the camera off and get the jack out, and then I'll come back to you. Now I've got the engine jacked up a little bit. I just noticed somebody else has had the pump out before too, because this little bracket's been bent up to try and get that adjusting rod out of the way. So I think I'll just do the same, grab some vice grips, just bend it up. It only needs like an 1/8 of an inch to pop that rod out. So I'll grab some vice grips. Just bend the tab over just a little bit. It's fairly thick steel, so it shouldn't crack. Just these vice grips. You can actually see teeth marks where something was on there. So, there we go. Got it. Yeah. It doesn't feel too bad. bolt in there. It's been a while since I've done one of these. There we go. I'm going to have to disconnect that. It's going to make a mess. Is there any fluid in there? Nope, it's empty. Yeah, because there's actually a cooler here. It's a power steering cooler. The screwdriver. Yeah, I could have cheated on all you guys and had it all pre-set and pre-loosened and taken it all off and then put it all back together, but this is the real world, I guess, so you got to see how this works. Okay, I think I've got it. It's coming off. There we go. Now we're going to get the pump out. Dipstick off. Move this light. There it comes. Come on, you can do it. I know you want to run again. Don't hold on me. Come on. Where is it? There's that one bolt stuck in that slot. This bolt here is stuck in the slot still. And I've tried jacking it up, and these mounts are pretty good because she did not move at all. Usually they had a little give in them. The mounts get a little soft. The hook's broken off my light, so I can't hang it up. Should put a piece of wire in there, I guess. There, let's see. There we got it. So you got the pump out of the way, and another light, and down there is the fuel pump, right there. It's going to be awkward trying to video this, but there's the fuel pump. So I'm going to unbolt, unline, unclip the other one, and then also while I've got the line disconnected, I'm going to see how much gas is still in that tank, see if I can blow it through. So I'll disconnect those two lines, pretty basic. They're either 1/2 inch or 9/16. The other one's just got a clip on it, so I can just undo the clip. Where are we? There. So I'll get those lines off and I'll get back with you. Let's see if I can get this clip off. Now I'm going to be blocking the view, but it's too awkward. Got to flip this clip around so I can get the pliers on it. Nope. And muzzle. Almost tempted to just bust it off because it's pretty tough. It's plasticized. There we go. I got it. Roll that clip back. Do the same again. See if I can get this fuel line off. There we go. And then get the fuel line out of the way. Just tuck it in underneath the radiator hose, and then I can get my 1/2 inch in there. And I'm trying to do it so you can still see, so it's kind of awkward trying to do it for the camera. So I've got a line wrench. These are the line wrenches for doing brakes and lines. Old school. Modern stuff's all snap fit now. It should be. This, plus I'm bundled up. Keep getting my sleeve caught down here. Nope. Damn it. Got it. Snap it. Just get a little shock. It snaps loose. I think the bolts are 9/16. It's loose. Yep. This is the line for the carburetor. It's a threaded fitting because it's under pressure, because it's on the other side of the pump. So now I'm going to grab a socket and see if I can measure what size it is. Here's my other extension. See if I can get the, oh, I need a longer extension. Can't reach. These are just the Harbor Freight extensions, nothing fancy, but they do lock on. So you don't lose your socket down in there. Yeah, I can't see it. I've got to find the bolt. Keep hearing something like there's something climbing in there. Right, need my mirror. I can't see the bolts. Just using a little mirror so I can see where the bolts are positioned, because I can't see them because that plate's there. Okay, right at the top. And these are not slotted. Okay, so bolts up here somewhere. Right here. There it is. You got to kind of guess where the bolt is, because this plate's blocking the view. Use my mirror again so I can see where I'm poking that socket. And it is right there. It might even be a 5/8. That is not going on. I think they are 5/8 bolts. I thought they would have been 9/16. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Okay. That's one. I need another extension. It's a short one. Hopefully it's not too tight. Nope. Here we go. Hope there's enough light we can see what I'm doing. It's fairly loose. I can pull it off with my finger. I think the socket's come out. It's going to work. I think it's already an aftermarket fuel pump. I'm not having any problem with the pump out of them being in the way. I think it is. So awkward. Get rid of this jack handle. It is awkward. I think on one of my cars, it took that plate off too. I think I made it like Lemon's car I did, not on the Mercury I had. I had a Mercury a couple of months back. Had a 429 4-barrel in it. It's just exactly the same engine. I think I did take that plate off so I could see what I was doing. Oh, fell off. There it goes. Now we'll do the other side. I think I can see it from there. Here's the other bolt. Covered in grime too. I'm having trouble getting the, there it is, got it. Getting the socket on there, it's covered in baked on dirt. Oh, that one's a bit tighter. I think I said earlier on, I didn't realise how long those videos were I'd made. Almost an hour long. And I know it gets a little boring. But just wanted to kind of do a little more intro before I get into this. I'm sure you guys understand. You're brand new, you're nervous, you want to let people know who you are and what you do. Your likes and your dislikes. I like all brands of cars, not just Fords. I've had Mopars, AMCs. What else have I had? Foreign, obviously, because I'm from New Zealand. A lot of Japanese stuff. Domestic market Japanese stuff. A lot of British cars. Classics, Jaguars, Rovers. Not Land Rovers, but Rover sedans. And that should be it. Rescue my wrenches before they fall in my headlight bucket. I think that was it. I had it. No, it's loose. I thought I had the bolt out. It's out. Got it. Here we go. One fuel pump for a 429 or a 460. I probably would have ran for a while. I smell gas in it, so there was gas in the system. Okay. The gasket's still on there. I know you guys can't see it, but no, the gasket's bad. It ripped. I did rip it. Got a gasket with the pump anyway. Yeah. Actually, it was somebody put the gasket in badly. I don't know if you can see that. It was sitting like that. Somebody put it in and folded it over and put it in. That's probably where all that oil's coming from. If you remember one of my first videos, everything here was covered in oil, so it was probably blowing oil out of that fuel pump. Because this compressor should not be covered in oil unless it blew a seal. And there was oil sprayed everywhere. It's even down here. You can see down there, but there's a ton of oil on that filter, on the frame, pan. That's probably where all that oil came from, out of that fuel pump gasket. Because it definitely was flipped around, because I thought I'd ripped it, but it's not ripped. Well, it is now, because I just ripped it, but it was folded over. It's definitely leaking. See, look at all the oil around there. Put this up here. Look at that oil. See, you see from there to there, it's all covered in crust, oil crusts. So probably spray a bit of fuel out. Yeah, pumps. Well, let's get the new one in there. Just carefully with a scraper, clean this crap around it. I'm sure you guys don't mind me saying crap. I think, is there one gasket or two? There's one. I just got to clean it up a little bit so I can get the new one to sit on there. And then spray it with glue. Okay. So spray some glue on that. Some contact. I just rearranged my garage, so it's kind of, sometimes I don't know where some of this stuff is. I do have a can of glue here somewhere. Spray adhesive. I'm probably looking at it and I can't see it. There you go. What's a can of spray? Oh. Yeah, my tools are over here. They used to be on that back wall there. I used to have the TV up there, but now that's where my parts are. So I actually can get a vehicle in here, but I don't know what I did with my can of glue, spray adhesive. It's a 3M can. Damn it. I've got some cans of glue, but spray adhesive's easier. Alright, I might have to wander around the garage and see if I can find it. I'll come back to you. Well, I can't find that glue. I don't know where it is. So, but I've got a can of shellac. That'll work. Probably better anyway. A bit of shellac on it. I just want it to hold in place so it doesn't fall over. Stick it on the engine block. Yeah, it'll help seal too. Could just use some silicone, but this is old school stuff. can see. I know you guys can't see this, obviously, but I've got a stone. You can, there's over in here, I can just see a little gap where the pump sits, so I've got to try and line this up. That's it. Grab a rag. At least it's not anti-seize, it'd be covered by now. Somebody will know what I mean. You open a can of anti-seize, you look like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. I'll just put the bolts in the hole so the gasket lines up. That's it. Just let it sit for a minute. Okay. Now the thing now is you've got to kind of, on the eccentric on the cam, you've got to get this underneath it and not on top of it, so that the can lobe pumps. You can hear that. Doesn't move much, but you've got to get it positioned right. And sometimes you may have to turn the engine over just a little bit to make it easier, because it's got a strong spring in there, and you've got to get this pump sitting straight to get the bolts back in. Let's see if I can feel that cam lobe. It's just a cam lobe on the front of the timing, not the actual cam, but I'm not feeling it at all. So it must be on the release stroke. Okay. I just want to double check again with that other pump that I have got the right one. So, yeah, the arm's a different shape, but the angles are the same, the positions. So we'll put it like that. I put these pumps in before. I was just kind of surprised that I didn't have the cam lobe there. And you can see it's already touched it, so it is there. So put the bolt in. Do the back one. See if we can get one bolt started on it. Put this on here. Put that pump on. Get the bolt started. Get it kind of tip the pump up and then bring it down. It's dark and I can't see if I'm lining up that gasket. I need my little flashlight. Make sure I move the gaskets moved. It's taken me longer as well, guys, because I'm trying to do this so you can still see. Otherwise I'd be leaning right in there and getting it, but you want to see something going on. Just gotta line that bolt up. I think I got it. It's doing something. It's in the hole, but the threads are not grabbing. Make sure it's there. It's cold too, my fingers are a little numb. Come on. It's moved again. Okay, I'm going to put some shellac on the back of the pump and put the gasket on the pump. Trying to do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. So every time I try to line that bolt up, the gasket keeps moving. You don't need a lot of this stuff. This is kind of old school. Most guys don't use this anymore. You use silicone or RTV. Okay. Now, just put that gasket on there. So, I probably should have done this way to start with. Put the bolt in there. Get the other one off the floor that fell down. Okay, let's try this again. I should put the socket on there first. This is awkward. Kind of feel with the bolt, it hits that little thread. It's too awkward. It's awkward because of the way I'm trying to film this. I've got the pump sitting there. Oh. Sorry guys, I've got to reach in here. Probably block all the view, but it's the only way I can do it. Get this bolt started. I had it before. Now you guys are watching me, I'll never get it. I'll be sitting here fighting it for hours. Turn the camera off, I get it first time. Oh, nope. Come on. So you imagine trying to do this from underneath. Oh, these big daddy long legs. The spider just jumped out in front of me. There's a spider right there. I just can't line that bolt up. You see why the guys squished that gasket last time, because this thing was so awkward. And I've got it. One bolted. Okay. I feel a little bit of tension there. Did it come out? Right. It fell out again. Damn it. Thought I had it. I did have it, but try to hold the pump in. Line that bolt in. It's not easy. Okay, I think I got the first one. Just want to get a few turns on it so it's in there. Holding this socket on that angle is not helping. There, I can reach in here and get the other one started. If I can reach that one by hand. The back one is easy. I can just reach in and put it on my hand. I think it's in. Really gently, not bumping it. Trying to find the bolt. Not knocking it off. Yeah, got it. Whew. Come on, please, just go. Kind of hard to crank it or wind in because this socket's binding on that pump. It's on that angle. Let's get the feel how far it's going to go. Make sure I'm not messing it up. Yeah, it's just about it. Alright, I'll do this one and then I'll come back and tighten that one up. I don't want to tighten it too much because you've got to be able to move that pump a little bit to line it up. Kind of feel for that bolt. Got it. Move this lamp a little bit so I get my arm in there. What's over here? Another thing you got to watch on these vehicles, on these 460s and 429s, is the clutch fan. Make sure it's not got bad bearings. Pop the socket. You'll pop the you put the fan through the radiator. It's not good. Sorry guys, dropped the socket on the ground. It's not a number 10, so I got it. I bumped the release. I'm doing the other one again, tighten it up. Just put it. Check this one in. Yep, so that's it, fuel pump's in. Here's one brand new fuel pump in there. This one's actually shorter. I've noticed on some of these fuel pumps, this is a lot longer. And sometimes you've got to bend that tube goes up into the carburetor. You've got to kind of bend it back into position because you've got to bring it back down to here. But that one's lining up. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that line's almost touching that fuel line, that fuel pump, so it's good. I don't have to rearrange it. But yeah, like I say, always check these clutch fans. Yeah, see, that one's got a little bit of play in it. It's probably enough to get this car running to show you. Like, it'll run, but there's actually slop in there. Eventually it'll come loose and just fly straight into the radiator and take your radiator out. So I think I'll leave it at that. I'm going to make a video on blowing the tank out, so I'll do that in a day or two, maybe tomorrow. I'll get my little tool out. What I'll do is run the compressor, crank it right down to about 2 pound. I've got a regulator there, and then just pressurize the tank. I'm going to stick a hose in there first, just blowing it, see if there's any fuel in there. If there's not much fuel in there, I'll just blow it through. It'll come out this end of the line down here, and I'll just put a rubber hose on it into a bucket or a container. I've got a few empty gas cans floating around, and then empty it out and then blow it back in case there's any crud or stuff blocks up the sock on the pickup and sending unit. I think these have a plastic sock. So some of them have a copper, but I think this one's plastic. So that'll be the next video. I'll blow that tank out. It's night time here. I'm already at 7:30. And then I'll do the tank, blow it out, put some gas in it, see if that fuel pump will pump, if I can get it to turn. If I get it to turn, then we'll pull that carburetor off. Just give it a clean out. I think I've got a gasket for it. I've got a gasket here somewhere. So I'll give it a clean out. There's not much to them. There's not many parts in them. Pretty basic. All you really need is just a gasket and just clean everything else. But that's how you put a fuel pump on a big block Ford. Take the power steering out. It's right there. And I mean, if you have a little bit of time, there's 3 bolts holding this plate on. If you're really still struggling, there's a bolt there and 2 up front, and you take this whole plate out of the way. And you've got more view. But if you're not doing it with a camera, it's not that bad. It's just I'm standing on an angle trying to stay out of view so you can see what I'm doing. And hopefully this doesn't have cracked manifolds. That's another common problem on these engines. It's manifolds. It's usually the passenger side that cracks. And I'm not seeing any cracks. Another thing I've found out too is it actually happened on one of my vehicles. I'm trying to right behind this air pump on the front of the head, in the exhaust ports in the front there's like a 1/2 inch plug, and they rot out, and these things blow the exhaust out the front. Because I actually went and brought a brand new exhaust manifold for that old girl, and it turned out not to be the manifold, it was the plug in the front. I think it's part of the smog when they put an air pump inside the... I don't know how this air pump works. I'm not really concerned about it. I probably won't even connect it back up. I'm in Arizona. There's no smog here. Down south there is in Tucson and Phoenix, but we don't have smog, so I don't need to hook it all up. That's about it for tonight, I think. Probably already going to be about a half hour, 45-minute video. Hey guys, I do appreciate you liking and subscribing. It does help me. I'm a long way off from making any money. I've only just started out, so don't think, you know, I'm rolling in cash doing this. I probably won't make any money till next year. I've only just started out. There's a lot of requirements with YouTube, you know, I'll be honest. It'd be nice to get a few bucks so I can spend money on these cars, because that's what the money would go into anyway. It's not going on to anything else. It just goes back into buying these, buying other cars too. I'm not just into these. You know, if I see something good, I'll buy it. Motorcycles too. I've had Harleys, jet bikes. But yeah, if I do make any money, it goes directly straight back into these. Like, I've got to buy tyres. I could probably take the tyres off that car there, because I'm not going to be driving it for a while. All these cars have all got brand new tyres on them, so I could steal those tyres off that just to drive it and feel a little safer. But I've got to buy the brakes. What else? Brakes. Round up a battery. I've got a couple of batteries there, but they're a little bit small. Might have to pull the battery out of that. That's got a huge battery in it. But anyway, if you have any comments, you know, don't be shy. Let me know, good or bad. I can take the criticism. Like I say, I'm still learning, and if you guys don't tell me what I'm doing right and doing wrong, I'll never learn, and my videos won't improve. I'm just looking around, because I really have not looked at this car until now. It got delivered home one night. I pushed it into that corner where it was outside. The next day I popped the locks out, took the lock into town, got the key made. Got the key made for the trunk too. You take the glove box lock out. Luckily it wasn't locked, so it was open, so I could take the glove box lock out and that out. So now I've got the ignition locks and the trunk lock. But like I say, yeah, please let me know, you know, if I'm doing something wrong or something doesn't sit right with you guys, just let me know. I'll try and improve or change things like that. A couple of guys had complained about the music in the background. Like I say, I'm still learning. You know, I actually just brought up editing software, and I was a little bit paranoid about my breathing in the background because I got COVID last year and I haven't really recovered. I just hated the sound of me breathing in a video, so I just tried to drown it out a little bit with some background noise, some music. Normally I've got the stereo blaring and Pandora, but YouTube frowns on that, so I can't. Got a sub there, I've got speakers there, a speaker there. Some big speakers down the back there. There's another speaker there under that open sign. Yeah, usually got music blaring or the TV just going. The Wi-Fi out here. I ran an Ethernet cable from the garage over to the house. And then I will do a, like I say earlier on, I will do a toolbox tour. I started off with that box. I actually had a smaller box, and then when I was a certified technician at Toyota, Toyota supplies boxes. So I'd actually sold my box because there was no point in keeping it because all my tools were at work. Literally here at home I used to work out of a cardboard box like that. Every day I'd bring some tools home in a cardboard box and work on my cars, and that got old. And then left Toyota, and I was actually on workman's comp for a while. It was something else, not my finger. And then I became a wildland firefighter. I don't know if you guys know what that is. That's working with the air tanker aircraft. But anyway, started off that box, and last year there was a technician in town. He got laid off. You know, poor guy. Not at my work. He was a diesel technician, and he had these two boxes for sale. So I brought them, and they were full of tools. I mean, I've mixed my tools in there now, but I probably had half of these, half of them are his. But he had a lot of, I'm not going to be a full tour, but a lot of overflows. Where are they? Oh, where the hell are they? These are for hydraulics. These are hydraulic wrenches. That's what he mainly dealt with. He was working on trucks. And there's my power tools, but won't go any further. I'll show you my toolbox later on, all my gadgets and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be fun cleaning this car up. See if I can get it to shine. It has been repainted. I can see a double white line in there too. So it's had a pinstripe put on it because the factory is only a single pinstripe, and I can see two there. But I can see overspray underneath, white paint underneath it. And it's hard to see, but it's a blue. It's like an ice blue, like an Antarctic ice. They call it platinum. There's a trick to getting this mold off too. Bleach the car. Fill your spray pump up with 50-50 bleach and spray it down, let it soak, and it kills all that mold. So you don't have to try and scrub it out. I did try and clean a little pit, and I just wiped it down there with a little soap and a little degreaser. But inside should come up nice. I know it's just a shame that dash is cracked, but the seats are going to come up beautiful. I know it looks like shit now, but they will clean up. That's just bird shit. If it was a rip, that armrest is still nice and straight. These always crack right through here, and they start bending like bananas. The other one's still good too. It's down in there. I took it out. And this is an AM/FM radio. I only have a couple of 8-track players in mine. I think the blue car has an 8-track player on it. It's not a Mercury wheel or a Lincoln wheel. I don't know what that's off. Probably just a Ford. It's the wrong offset, wrong colour. These wheels are always black. Do have the hubcaps. Hubcaps are up there. And I collect the 69 caps, because they're the best of all. These turbine caps. I actually want to put a set of, I know they're not correct, but I want to put a set of turbines on this. But every time they come up for sale, I'll buy the turbine caps. I've got more. Those things must weigh 20 pounds each. It's unbelievable how heavy they are. They're actually factory balanced. They're stamped on the inside. But you can completely pull them apart, clean them, paint the insides black again. And they only go back together in one direction. So you can't screw up the balancing because of the hole for the valve stem. And the center cap is offset, the bolts are offset. And it's got a pin in it. So it'll only go back together in the same position. So if you keep the cap together and clean it and polish it and put it back together, you shouldn't need to balance them. Yeah, a little license plate off my old Volkswagen. I'm actually Dutch by birth. I know I've got a Kiwi accent, but I'm Dutch. And that was on my 65 Bug. I was born in Amsterdam. My parents immigrated to New Zealand when I was about 6 years old, lived there until 2003, then came here. Just telling you a little bit about myself so you know who I am, what I do. Anyway, so the next thing is make a fitting for that tank. I'll show you how to do that, or how I do it, and then blow that tank out without having to drop it. I don't really want to drop the tank. And, see if we can just clean it out, just enough to get this car running. If there's no junk in it, it should be fine. But if I find some gas in there and I siphon it out and it comes out black, I probably will have to clean it out. But like I say, it was backed into a carport. I'll post the photos of it. I took some screenshots of when Steve took it out. Actually, you can see I brought this. It's, you know, I actually paid for this car. It wasn't a freebie. I brought this off Steve Snyder in Colorado. He's based in Pueblo, and he's on Facebook, Steve Snyder's Junkyard. And when you buy a car, you can see there's a date on there. He gives you 6 months to come and get the car. So I brought this car on March 22nd last year. So he gives you 6 months storage. And I've actually got a car there right now. I bought a car off him about 2 weeks ago. I gave him a deposit on it. I've got to see if I can round up some more money. I've got some cars for sale listed on Marketplace. Hopefully I can get some money out of those cars and pay Steve off, and then my transporter Greg will pick it up. He's picked up probably a dozen cars for me, so he knows I'm good. He'll go and pick it up if he's coming back empty, and we'll figure it out. I work on his cars too. He buys and sells classic cars, so I do a little maintenance work on his cars and we barter. But yeah, hopefully I get this other car, because the other car's got a beautiful interior. And I need some parts for Metal Like Lemon's car, because the rats got into the seats. And they kind of, you can't really see it, but not the front seats, but the back seat, right where it drops down onto the floor. They chewed a hole in the vinyl. Yeah, so hopefully with that car I got out of Colorado, I don't know, it looked a little rusty in the quarter panels, but I mainly brought it because the interior was really nice. But if the car is still worth saving, I won't part it out. I don't like parting cars out. But I do need some upholstery and stuff for the Metal Like Lemon's car, because I know that Colorado car has beautiful armrests, and this is Metal Like Lemon's car, and that's what I was talking about earlier on, about the armrests all split right by the switch and that door handle. And let's just look at the switches here. So, but that's a passenger side one. So hopefully, actually, let's take a look. Just thinking about this the other day. I think that's the invoice. Yep. So this was he brought the 1971 Continental Mark III as the VIN number. $5,525. And he traded in, it does say somewhere where he traded in. Yeah, here we go, there's his trade-in, a 72 Ford F100. And you got $22.50 for the truck. So you had a balance of $3,385.05. There's a bunch of receipts in here, all the usual stuff, tires, exhaust mufflers, stuff like that. I was hoping to be the original window sticker in it, but it's not there, because he's not the original owner, he's the second owner. I'd say he's the second owner. The car is only 2 years old. So, but yeah, that's where it came from. I'm trying to think where he lived. Calhoun, Colorado. That's where this old guy lived. Steve did tell me, he said it was an estate. He cleaned out the property. It was a farm or a ranch, whatever. Not a city. So, I was lucky. My roof was pouring water out of there. Up in that corner, up in that corner there. My books are all there, but it looks like it didn't quite get my books, because they're not really looking. These are parts manuals. Mopar 68, 69, and 70, 71 Mopar parts catalogs, because I used to be a big Mopar guy. And these are Porsche. I used to own Porsches. Workshop manuals for the Porsches, should be two of them here somewhere. No, there's the other one, the orange one, under there. I've got to put another hook. I've got to change these so I can hang up all my jumper cables. I've got a bunch of jumper cables. And the other thing I want to do, and I'm getting off track again, I'm bad for it, is when I worked at the dealership, I got a shit ton of license plates. This is nothing. All these license plates. I used to have them up there, but since I moved the shop around, I've got to change it around. I was actually thinking of covering the ceiling, but I have two big totes full of license plates there, and a cardboard box full of plates. It's probably 1,000 plates, probably more. They were going to throw them all out, and I says, no way, I'll take those home. Because I do need to fill up this crack here. There used to be a wall here, and here as well. Like I say, this was not a garage originally, but the roof's fully trussed, and they came and looked at it, and they said, yeah, it's not, nothing's load bearing, tear them all out. So there was a wall here as well, as you can see. Because this used to be this part used to be a little factory where people worked, and all the big machinery was in here, like rock cutters and diamond polishers and stuff like that. Apparently it was quite a good setup in here. Got 110, 220, and I had 480 power in here. The 480's gone, I took it out, I don't need it. Apparently they were running big DC motors. My power box is upstairs. I've actually got there's actually upstairs in here. I store stuff. You can just see some of the wiring there for where my box is. The switch is outside, so I can hide it. I did check that because the box used to be here on the wall, and I flipped it up and hid it in the attic right next to the staircase there. So if something pops, I can just jump upstairs. And they say you can do that as long as the main breaker is outside, and the main breaker is outside in this wall here. Because this building has a separate meter from the house. Because I run the well off the power in this garage. My well's just outside this wall here. But, so sorry about that having to do that post-production, how to pull that pump out of there or how to move it. I did record it and I went to look for it and I couldn't find it. So